In my last video, I said I was going to say something about victim blaming, but thought it deserved its own video. So here's that video. Now, this is a subject that seems to get more complicated the more you think about it. There's so many subtle contextual differences in how we express ourselves when talking about blame and levels of responsibility. It's easy to get these concepts confused, so bear with me. If two or more people commit a crime together, the law and public opinion can assign different levels of guilt for all involved. Now, that's usually expressed in the sentencing phase. One person might get 3 years, one person might get 10 years. But the total guilt pie, if you will, is all for the person or persons committing a crime, and that cannot change under any circumstance. But that dynamic only exists if everyone involved has committed a crime. This is why even if I walk down a block in a gang area and announce that I have lots of gold chain for sale, if someone robs me, they're still 100% guilty for that crime. Their crime is a separate issue from my actions, even though my actions could accurately be described as contributing to this crime happening. Now, should I be able to walk down the street carrying lots of valuables without fear of being robbed? Absolutely. But that's only a wish. The cops, they might even hold me under suspicion of being suicidal, because what I did almost makes it seem as though I had a death wish. But nothing I did or was or should be a crime. But my actions, beyond any doubt, contributed to my becoming a victim. Now, rape, like most crimes, is a crime of opportunity, and you have a great deal of control over how much opportunity you present. And even though the danger is actually coming from thinking human beings with agency, you have to treat them as this nebulous, unthinking, dangerous consequence of risky behavior. This is also known as Schrodinger's rapist, which, by the way, doesn't mean all men are potential rapists. It means in a sea of unknown people, some of them are going to be capable of rape. And since you have no way of knowing which ones, you have to treat them all as if it's possible you just met one of the ones that is. Now, you may take every reasonable precaution and be just unlucky and come into contact with one of them. But that doesn't mean that you don't have control or a great deal of control over the odds of becoming their next victim. And it's not victim blaming to remind someone of that. It's perfectly normal to point out taking reasonable precautions is by far the most effective way to reduce the chances of anyone becoming a victim of any crime. Having an optimism bias is the normal human condition, unless you're an antinatalist, of course. We rarely think something bad is going to happen to us, even when we tempt the odds. Like smokers, they never think they're going to get cancer. That happens to other people. The younger you are, the stronger this sense of invincibility is, but not always. And because of this, it's perfectly justified and normal to feel the need to occasionally remind some people that their optimism bias might catch up to them, especially if they've behaved as if they've forgotten. And we have to do this all the time with people we care about. Like if you had a friend that partied a lot and hooked up with a lot of random people they just met, you would worry about them, and you'd probably voice your concern to them, as you should. You could tell them, bring them over so I can meet them, and take a picture of them, or take a picture of their driver's license even. If their intentions are all about a consensual evening, they won't mind, especially if they think they're going to get laid. They'll give you their driver's license. And if they do mind, well, that should give you pause. Now, say something was to happen, unfortunately. You would never in a million years say, I told you so. That would just be piling on hurt, and that would make you an asshole. However, to a certain degree, you're going to be thinking it. You'll be like, damn it, I told them this might happen if they weren't more careful. But she's like, no, these guys are cool. I guess they weren't cool. You might even say something similar to your other friends, especially if you had a shared concern about this person's behavior with them. The point is, none of what you did or how you reacted was in any way excusing the actions of the person that victimized your friend. You were not a rape apologist, and you do not think they deserved what happened to them. Because, life would really suck if we lived it by the dictates of the worst that could happen. And so I don't blame people for embracing their optimism bias and saying, what the fuck once in a while. But, there is a risk-reward balance, and avoiding the bad while living your life is all about finding that subjective balance that works with your tolerance for risk. We sort of intuitively know when someone's out of balance and we try to bring them back in. It's, oh, you need to get out more. Oh, you need to settle down a little bit. You're getting out of hand. But we forgive risky behaviors with worthwhile rewards and call behaviors that are perceived to be low or of no reward is just stupid. If somebody injures themselves skydiving, you don't really blame them for it. It's a rewarding activity. But if somebody hurts themselves because they like to see how drunk they can get and still swallow a sword, you're going to think that was stupid and they had that coming. Now, if they didn't get hurt bad, and they're going to make a full recovery, you'll be like, dude, why? But if they did get seriously hurt, again, you're not going to pile onto that. They're dealing with enough repercussions from their own stupidity. So, whether or not someone approves of the risky behavior someone's doing decides if they're to blame for the risk part, if the risk part of their behavior happens. But just because you may think someone's actions led to them being hurt in some fashion, that certainly doesn't mean you think they deserved it. But feminists often misrepresent common vernacular like they had it coming or they were just asking for it, as if this actually meant that whatever bad thing happened to them was what they wanted to happen. This has to be intentional, especially if you're an American and English is your primary language. You would have to know that these expressions don't mean that. Now, even the term literally begging for it, if it's the improper use of the word literal and said before anyone gets victimized, that means that what someone did was so careless, it's almost like they wanted it to happen. But it doesn't literally mean they wanted to be raped or victimized. But if you're using the word literally properly, you could be describing a consensual act or possibly an act of self-harm, like what I said about cops thinking I might be suicidal for doing something that dumb. The possibility exists that this person is not well and wants to be hurt for some reason. Now, I would only entertain that thought if their behavior is so way out there, like some girl gets in a bar and takes off all her clothes and starts masturbating or something. I would say it's highly likely that she's either nuts or she wants to have sex with whoever else wants to. Public sex is a thing. Even rape fantasies are a thing. Who am I to judge? But for that not to be nuts, the raper would have to be in on it for it to be consensual. Sorry about all that. But what goes for normal behavior is a matter of perspective. In Islam, for instance, just showing your hair is the equivalent of naked masturbation. It's all about what a society considers to be that balanced behavior. For other places, masturbating naked in public might be just a Tuesday. So if you were in a Muslim society where just showing your hair is perceived to be the same as naked masturbation is in the West, saying women should, watch how they dress to avoid assault, rape, or even death would be the only really rational thing to do if you live there. But in the West, we love hair. Too much, in my opinion. But the problems arise, when the internet brings together people that have these extreme variations in what they believe to be that balance. People from all over the world get on the internet to dump their thoughts and say crap about strangers that are not in their sphere of empathy that they would never say to their face, or most of them wouldn't. You would think also that atheists would lose those religious, inspired, puritanical notions about sex, but unfortunately it seems to stick around with many of them too. But some brands of feminism can be worse slut shamers out there than anybody. If you're a woman that prefers dominant males or testosterone worshipers, I've heard them referred to as, or worse, if you're a sex worker. Now, they hate that. How can you objectify yourself like that? Don't you know that you're promoting sex on demand rape culture? So a lot of what is defined as victim blaming is just slut shaming on the internet. Now, to me, slut shaming is the same as homophobia. I don't like how you have sexy time, so I feel I have the right to shame your behavior that offends my subjectively superior morality. But the only words a feminist hears if you presume to tell them there are things they can do to lessen the chance of them becoming a victim is you deserve to get raped if you don't act like I think you should act. I think this is in actuality an extremely rare case. And what does exist is more likely the result of the internet bringing radically different social dynamics together, or just the anonymous nature of the internet letting the sadistic asshole out to play in some of us. Anyways, thanks for watching. Unfortunately, you'll be killed by a feminist in 2 weeks now. Sorry about that.